Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Peninsula Community. Please enjoy our opening music with us, which is Silent Within Me by Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill.
Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. More than melody, strong and unhurried, a keynote of change in the ways of the world, a river of time, the sound beyond sound. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song than I can sing. My life in harmony with all life, and the life beyond the life, beyond the life, beyond the life. Silently within me flows a sweeter song that I can sing. Silently within me flows a sweeter song that I can sing. A note, a chord, a symphony, eternity within a ring, eternity within a ring. Silently within me flows a sweeter song that I can sing. Silently.
Thank you so much, Anton and Laura. Good morning, CSLP community. My name is Elliot Mao. I am your moderator for today. It matters not what your spiritual path you have chosen or what cultural belief. We welcome you, and you are part of our family. I would like to have all of you know that we're here for a very special occasion today where we have so many ecclesiastic souls gathering to make sure that all of you are enjoying your spiritual path as well. We teach the science of mind, study of the mind and the spirit. All of you are welcome here. Welcome home. I would like for all of you to join me in our mission statement. And if you will see on the screen that is it on here as well? Yes. Oh, okay, good. You have a program, and on the program is indeed your mission statement. Please join me in our mission statement together. Our mission is transformation through spiritual practices, education, service, empowerment, and by living inspired lives. I would like to welcome all of you who are participants and our leadership of here today. For example, we have Reverend Linda, we have practitioner Susan Wilkinson, we have practitioner Emeritus Richard Marr. And we also have our Reverend Allen, soon to be on the online with us as well. And and Beth Anderson, who you heard this beautiful meditation from as well. Woo! Sorry if I have missed some of you really, really accomplished leaders of our ecclesiastic team. Of course, we have also Benito and Joe making sure our sounds and our technical prominence is being practiced here as well. Yay! Sweet, sweet. Yeah. Speaking of all the sounds that are coming to, it is not by accident. Lots of technical know-how has been put together. For example, we have our second song, and if it's queued up, I would love to hear another song from Anton and Laura. The name of the song is There's a Good for Me. Anton, Mizurek, Laura.
We're going to begin with a piece that Laura and I wrote the music, words by Emma Curtis Hopkins and Ernest Holmes.
There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. A good for me, and I ought to have it.
Claim you're good.
Woohoo! Thank you, Anton and Laura. There's a good for you. Do you ought to have it?
Yes.
Absolutely. Live brought to you by CSLP, here indeed. And so right now, we're going to bring our practitioner emeritus, Rich Amar, to come up here to tell us what our affirmation is. Please help me welcome Mr. Richard Ma. Yoo-hoo! He's so familiar with the podium or the lectern.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elliott. What am I supposed to do? Speak, right?
No, you're supposed to read the affirmation on the screen.
Oh, affirmation. Weekly affirmation. Repeat after me. I break the chains of silence with courage. My voice empowers myself and others to claim liberation.
Yes. Again, please.
Again, all right.
I
To
break-
get, wait. I break the chains of silence with courage. My voice empowers myself and others to claim liberation.
Yes. So you'll come back again in a minute, few minutes for your talk.
All right, and now we have another wonderful voice, practitioner Susan Wilkinson.
So I'll give the opening prayer. Let us have our silence inside and our voice outside. Let us begin by saying that we know that our spirit is here, and it is time for us to express the spirit in everything we do, everything we say, and everything that we are. And we're so grateful for this. We're so grateful for the voice that is not only ours, but it is God's voice inside of us that gives us power, that gives us presence, that gives us focus and intention to know exactly what to do and when to do it, to know who to speak to and what to say at exactly the right time. And this is the time to say exactly what is needed to say with love, with courage, and with life. And so it is.
And so it is.
Now we'll have the different talks. Who would like to start?
Actually, you're listed here first.
Okay,
I don't know
I'll
if you
be-
want to go with me.
Okay, can you bring me that board right there?
This one?
So audience out there, you have a special program. The program today is to have practitioners' individual power talks. And starting with this illustrious group, of course, is no other than practitioner Susan Wilkinson. Up front, please.
So the title of my talk is, excuse me, Speaking Up. And like most people, I was born at an early age. Although my father was a recognized nuclear scientist, he was also an alcoholic. He claimed that he drank because he worked on the atomic bomb. That could be true, it could not be true. My entire family and myself were very accustomed to tiptoeing around his illness. I married someone whose parents were Holocaust survivors. Is there a connection? This was a perfect fit for me until it wasn't. And so I began my healing journey, first acknowledging my feelings to anyone and anywhere and any time, at all times. Listen to me, I'm ready. Are you? Probably not. Then by speaking up, learning in my own way to honor my inner journey. Perhaps I didn't turn this on. Okay, all right. I learned about the power of prayer to create safety around myself. With courage and love, I was able to find my way. As a teacher, I discovered that I could say anything to anyone if I said it at the right time and in the right way. Does anybody have teenagers? They teach us more than we want to know. Right now, I'm experiencing some mobility challenges, and I'm finding out the reasons for this. I'm discovering that when I interact with the medical system, I need to be very clear about what I need. For instance, when I have an X-ray or an MRI, I do not want anyone to move my leg or my hip. Do you think I'm able to say that? Yes. Don't move that leg. I know they're rushed for time. Oh, you're just moving my leg because you're rushed for time, right? Okay. It'll take more time if you break me. I now understand that I need to say to the tech before I get on the table, please do not move my leg. With courage and love, I will be able to find my way. So what is collective liberation? It reminds me of liberation theology, which is a Catholic and Christian approach to human suffering that emerged in the 1960s in Latin America. It emphasized the liberation of the poor and the oppressed from social structures and economic exploitation. And we remember 4 Latin American priests and 1 American priest that were murdered and tortured between 1980 and 1981. I remember this. Do you? Jose Maria Gra Severa, Faustina Villanueva, Juan Alonso Fernandez, Carlos Galindo, Stanley Roth. Collective liberation is working together to end all forms of oppression and to build shared power and accountability. Collective liberation recognizes that various forms of oppression are interconnected and mutually reinforcing racism, sexism, classism, ageism, and the oppression of the rights of handicapped individuals and others. When we band together, we can build strong communities based on respect and shared goals. Today in the US, this is even more important than ever before. No matter what this administration thinks and does, marginalized people of all kinds are not going away. Are we going away?
Nope.
I don't think so. CSL has visioned a work that works for everyone, a world that works for everyone. This is a world that works for all people, people of color, whites, poors, the poor, the LGBTQ population, the old, the young, people who are handicapped, people who are not handicapped. This is a world that works for everyone. And CSLP is an excellent avenue for this to become a reality. We are the ones we have been waiting for. So let's do it. Can we begin today?
Yes.
All right. With courage and love, we will find a way. Oh, that reminds me of a joke. So is this the way we should do it? There were 3 guys walking in a desert. One was carrying a fan. Another was carrying an umbrella. The third one was carrying a car door. One guy said to the other, "Why are you carrying a fan?" And the guy carrying the fan said, "When I get hot, I can fan myself." The guy carrying the fan asked the other one carrying the umbrella, "Why are you carrying the umbrella?" And he said, "When I get hot, I can use the umbrella to shade myself from the sun." The guy carrying the umbrella said to the guy carrying the car door, "Why are you carrying a car door?" And he said, "Because when I get hot, I can roll down the window." Thank you.
Thank you, practitioners, Susan Wilkinson, for bringing so much wisdom and humor to our talk today. Especially very appropriate. I am really grateful for what she has done on Memorial Day. So on Memorial Day, she has us remember those who have gone, those who are still here. For example, I went to the Santa Clara Mission and I saw those crosses that are there for the priests that were gunned down. Good reminders, but she also reminds us, the present day, how it's important it is to have something where everybody is included. So included in our ecclesiastic power is another person who is going to share her story as well. Please help me welcome Beth Anderson, practitioner, with her story as well.
Well, this is going to be quite different.
Okay, we want it to be different.
Well, it is
You have
different.
a car door?
No, I left the car door out in the parking lot. But I did love to, when I was going to San Francisco every Sunday, I used to love to go by Golden Gate National Cemetery this weekend with all the flags for blocks long by every gravesite. It was perfectly lovely. This is really my story. And it's my story of growing up as Silent Beth, or you might say Shy Beth. I grew up in a family where I was the only child and really didn't have a voice. My parents were very much in love with each other, and I have always thought I was just the afterthought. So my mother used to say this quite frequently, that children were to be seen and not heard. So this is how I grew up. Children were meant to be seen and not heard. And I am 90% introverted. So I learned to keep to myself and not speak up. I had to be quiet, and I really had very little chance to say much. I didn't have many close friends. And as I reached adulthood, I found out there was a lot that I did not learn. I did not know how to talk to people. I really didn't talk much, and I never learned how to answer questions. I knew that I needed to make some changes, and I found unity, and then I found science of mind. And our minister and I had a conference one day, and he suggested that I learn to do meditation, that it was going to help me to grow into all the classwork that I was taking. So I found myself learning to meditate. It was very easy. So Spirit and I then became really good friends. I meditated twice a day, every day, for many years. At one point, as Spirit and I were talking, I had started to do some traveling, and I really loved to travel and wanted to do more. But I also had a problem that I needed to make some income and take care of a house and, all that usual stuff. This one morning during meditation, the question of travel came up. And when asked where I wanted to go, I casually said Antarctica would be nice. I really hadn't thought about where I wanted to go. And the question then was, what price would I be willing to pay for this trip? Not knowing how much an Antarctica trip would cost, I just mentioned a figure, and then the meditation went on and on to other subjects. Later that morning, my friend Carolyn came to my house, and I was driving us across the Bay Bridge to meet friends in the East Bay for an outing. And Carolyn was a part-time travel agent who used to make reservations for me, and I traveled on trips with her several times. And as we're driving across the Bay Bridge, she mentioned to me that she had dinner with a friend of ours, Peggy, and Peggy really wanted to go to Antarctica. wow. And Carolyn was thinking about putting a trip together, and I said, count me in. The trip was planned. The price that was given to me was the price that I had mentioned in my meditation. And Peggy and I enjoyed the trip the next year. So that's just one small thing of how meditation really works and how it has helped me to grow and to come out of my big shell. And I had another wonderful experience when I was, after I became a practitioner and started teaching classes. And I had been asked if I wanted to teach Roots of Science of Mind, which I said, oh yes, I'd love to, because it's history, and I was a history major in college, and that was just wonderful. And this class was studying Ernest Holmes and some of his mentors and teachers, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thomas Troward, and Emma Curtis Hopkins were the topics. The opening night of class, one of the members entered and said, I hate Emerson. Ooh, excuse me? This is who we're going to be talking about for the first 3 weeks of class. And I went on to describe what the class was going to be like and did the first lesson. And the next day I took it into meditation and asked Spirit, how can I handle a person who hates the topic of the class for the first 3 weeks? Well, Spirit wasn't any help. I kept asking all week, and Spirit just wasn't answering me. And I thought, this is not good. So the next class began with me wondering how I was going to handle this negative student. When the door flew open and she comes in and says, I love Emerson. Okay. Spirit let me know that I don't have all the control in life. And it was absolutely then turned into the most beautiful class and just a lovely class that I had to teach. So I learned that answers don't necessarily come directly from Spirit, that Spirit can work elsewhere and the result can come to me. And this was just another growth for me into my liberation. And I've gone on to have many more experiences like this and have grown to expect Spirit to help me grow and keep me to grow and grow and grow.
Oh, I'm so glad that shy Beth has turned out to be heard, not just seen. Oh, you parent lovebirds, you do not know what you miss. Look what happened. She's a traveling mendicant. She goes and gives her messages everywhere. The Antarctica, down here in Belmont. Oh, that was wonderful, Beth. And I'm really glad that you and Spirit are BFFs now, Absolutely. Well, remember, she's not the only one that has been touched by Spirit. We also have a gentleman who has his story as well. Please help me welcome that man with the booming voice, Richard Moore. Practitioner and writer.
Today is 5/25/25. It is significant because 5, 5, 5. That means that God is all there is. 5 words. Remember that. That's all you have to remember in life. If you don't get anything from this lecture or what you live, remember, God is all there is. That's it. Always remember, if I was to die and jump off the cliff, I would say, God is all there is. That's all you have to do. Your problems will be solved. I would say that actually you don't have to do anything. To practice in action, all things are possible. That's our friend Emerson said that. To practice in action, all things are possible. What there is to be. But today, this is the month of Memorial. Memorial Day is in May. And I'd like to remember the people that influenced me to be what I am today. Reverend J. Scott Neal, Reverend Carol Neal, Reverend Jane Holt, Reverend Sue Tenick, Reverend Sharon Daniel. All these people, outstanding people. I would not be here today if it weren't for these people here, influencing me and teaching me and guiding me. Right, Linda?
That's right.
Remember we had our meetings, we talked, all these powerful people. And I'm so grateful for this because this is the month of Memorial Day and I remember these outstanding individuals. I also like to remember Helen Street. She said to me in her first lecture, she said, "Who are you? Who are you?" Of course, I would say, "I am Richard. I'm Richard." Well, according to the layman, that's what you say, "I am so-and-so." But what she really meant was that to say, I am a moving power of God. I'm an individualization of the universal power, individualized as myself. That is what she really wanted me to say. Of course, I didn't have the background and religious side to tell her that. But now I can tell you and share with you, this is what she really meant for me to say. And I'm proud to say that because I know that God is all there is. To practice in action, all things are possible, Emerson said. So, if we are a powerful, moving, dynamic, individual power of the individual power, the universal power, we don't have to do anything. Just be, just be. And that's what you can all do. And that's what we learn. Just be what you are, and you will be a mighty moving power of God. You are part of the power, the part of the stars in the universe. You are part of the power that hung the stars in the universe. That's even more dynamic. That's who you are. But you individualize as what you are today. So I say to you, my fellow friends and spiritual people, why rush? Why rush when we are already here? We're here already. This room should be full of people listening to what I have to say, and they can learn and share it with other people. And if that is possible, I know that is possible, our world would be so great today with peace and harmony, kindness, generosity, instead of what we're going through periodically of war and strife. I really wish, and I really know, that people will believe in what we believe in, that knowing that God is all there is. 5 words. God is all there is. 5, 25, 25, and there's 3 5s in there. And if we can always remember that, our society, our nations, our world will much be in better place. Hopefully someday this room will be filled with people. We have to turn away people to listen to our messages. That's what I would like. That's the legacy I like to leave behind in this world. that people will believe in what we believe in. They don't have to follow me and do everything I do, but just to believe that we are a mighty moving power of God in action. We are part of the power that hung the stars in the sky. And that's all we have to do. So in summary, I say, God is all there is. I repeat that 5 times. So why rush? Why rush when we are already here? Why rush when we are already here? That's a French saying, but let's impose that saying to our religious belief. And in doing so, there will be generosity, kindness, cooperation, harmony, and love in this world. So, there's nothing more to say. I stand up to be seen, speak to be heard, and shut up to be appreciated. Now I turn my meeting back to Elliot.
Hey, Richard, that was more than 5 words. And if you have it repeated 5 times, that's 25 words. Well, thank goodness that he was more than a man of 5 words. So you heard at least 5 people that he said that most of you have standing on the shoulders of. You have Reverend Scott Neal, you have Carol Neal, and you have, Sue Tennant, Sharon Daniel, Helen Street. Well, some of these names are strange to me, but at least you have heard that all of you have somebody mentoring you, somebody who has inspired you as well. Now, I would like to bring a person up who just has way more than words than usual. That is true. When I have to train her, just 5 to 7 minutes, please. Most of her talk could fill an hour. Don't worry, she's not going to take up an hour. But anything she says, I really want you to just take it at heart because they are meant to be inspiring, and they are. Please help me welcome Reverend Linda Anson.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is a woman of integrity. I gotta make sure this is on. I think it's on. Okay. Because she was gone this weekend at a beautiful place and came back early to be here with us when she realized there was a little need, and here she is. And I'm just, yeah, woman of integrity. So, yes, I can be a woman of many words. Just ask John. But we're going to be talking about overcoming silence and individual and collective liberation. And when you think about liberation, you're being freed of something. So being freed of being silenced for one reason or another. And we're going to actually do a workshop on this because as I was studying it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. There's things happening like through the world, but right in this room even. So we're going to be diving into this, the power of speaking out for individual and collective liberation. And so however you do that, some people go and march, sometimes they write letters, sometimes they just listen really deeply, and then sometimes they will get up the nerve to actually talk. So it's strategies that you have to be heard and to be heard in a way that you mean to be. And that's important. You know, it takes commitment to stay with any kind of rigor of any new journey. So it's easy lose that commitment sometimes because you run into little walls that, oh, how do I get through this without losing any friends? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. It's this kind of integration calls for a commitment to self-scrutiny and growth, because integration pivots on an axis that includes both being and doing. So Richard was talking about that, being and doing, and I believe you did too, Beth. And it's so important. You can be and be and be, and that there's nothing wrong with that, but the doing is where you start to activate your voice and make a difference in the world. And spirituality cannot exist in a vacuum, right? We can't ignore social conditions or the plight of humanity and activism. We cannot hope to transform the social order in the absence of mature spiritual development. It's not this belief, this philosophy is not something being fried in a pan and you're done. I mean, it is a lifelong commitment. You checking my time?
You're okay.
So we must move beyond the mere ideas of actively participating, where a world where freedom from discord becomes a reality. And we all experience that, even down to children that can barely understand a thought are experiencing it and they're in it. So by us speaking up and taking action, we contribute to the collective shift towards harmony and equity. And I don't know about you, but when that shift happens, even a tiny little shift in a small group, it ripples out and you feel it. It feels huge. It feels like something is really happening and that you had something to do with it in your thought or your words. So our individual efforts to overcome silence and assert our needs are not isolated acts, but are integral to the broader movement towards collective liberation. So it's a lot of people doing a similar thing at the same time. And so you start to really feel that, that beautiful golden thread going through all of us that is transferring these thoughts into things, which is what we believe. So each step that we take in advocating for ourselves and others helps dismantle the barriers and fosters an environment where freedom and justice are accessible to all. And recently, I've really realized that is so not true right now. That's not what we hear. The experience is that freedom and justice are accessible to all. And how can we help with that? How can we accept it? So there's 3 possible discussions on this, and I don't have time to do them all. But yeah, we have all day. Did you have a barbecue this afternoon? Well, let it go. Silence, when used as a default response, which we do have default responses quite often. We respond to conflict or injustice, perpetuating systemic issues and inhibiting personal and collective growth. You know, just like certain videos that are shown on TV, it should be something you could believe in, but it's not. It's really not. So you have to be really careful and listen. Listen and then use you're speaking. Yes, silence also impacts our well-being by causing internal conflict and emotional strain. And I've talked to many people in this room that have experienced that. When you feel you don't have a voice or you haven't learned to use the voice, then you start to feel frustrated and resentment, and you start to feel isolated. And that is the opposite of what we want to experience in our spiritual home. Another talking point is erosion of trust and missed opportunities. So silence in the face of issues or conflicts can significantly erode trust within relationships and limit opportunities for positive change. And when you're part of that shift, where all of a sudden the thing you've been arguing for or believing in, something new is said, and that there's a shift that happens. And all of a sudden you're expanded. You're more part of this group. Not this group necessarily, but so it's, if you lack any communication in that, it breaks down. Mutual respect and making it increasingly difficult to resolve conflicts. And that's like digging your heels in, because what you believe is more important than anything. Nobody else knows the real truth except you. So that gets you put into not a very good place. Another thing is barriers to speaking out and overcoming them. There are barriers that keep us silent, including fear of rejection, perceived power imbalances, or concerns about the potential fallout of speaking out. Does that make sense? Like even in a spiritual home, spiritual meeting? Didn't used to make sense to me, but I've seen it. I've been a part of it. So that's why I think this is worth studying more with a group. Because overcoming these barriers requires a proactive approach to building confidence and resilience. And we can't just think it's just going to happen just because we're there. Something is happening, but it's not being communicated. So some of the things that we can use as a call of action is embracing your voice. Recognize the divine power in your thoughts and voice. And don't lower the importance of that. It's really important. Use affirmations and positive self-talk to build confidence in your ability to shape your reality and advocate effectively for your needs. So when Beth was talking about the meditation, when you use spiritual tools, which meditation is, you can start to shift how you really think and what is yours to do. And so any kind of spiritual practices, but visualization and meditation are something you can do anywhere, even in the grocery store line. It doesn't require any. You don't have to have a little blanket or anything. You just be there. And so creating safe spaces, whether it's in your personal life or within your community, strive to create environments where open dialogue and expression are encouraged. I'm going to say that one again, because that's, to me, very important, very, very important. It's called a safe space. Whether in your personal life or within your community, strive to create environments where open dialogue and expression are encouraged. support others in sharing their stories and experiences, fostering a culture of compassionate listening and mutual respect. And when I was reading some of this, I just got chills because we are so in the middle of this group, many people in this room, and that we are so embedded in making our community number one, not making ourselves number one. You know, advocating for change, for personal and social change, engage in conversations, join advocacy groups. This is, you know, all about training and just having an open mind. And when you train, share the information, pass it on. And your voice matters and can contribute to the collective consciousness needed to drive transformation. And the last one, and not least, is to persist in your journey. Be persistent. That doesn't have to look bad. It's a very deeply given heart, the heart math of that. And stay resilient and persistent in your spiritual practices and the advocacy efforts. And I know that there's different small groups that I've worked with in this group, like Wendy and Mandy, where we made up a class on peace. And they actually went to Washington, D.C. to march. And I wasn't able to, but they did that. And so it was being an effort for advocacy. So I'm going to stop right now and would like you to think about this a little and how can we apply this to our group. This is a small group here today, but it doesn't matter. 2 people can make a difference. 1 person can make a difference, but 2 sharing each other's thoughts about it and their experiences is what starts to move the giant iceberg. So I thank you for listening, and you'll hear more from me about this. Thank you.
Well, you did hear that where there's more than 2 of us who are gathered in his name, there is love. I told you she was going to be a woman of few words. Were you taking notes? Absolutely.
You were.
Well, I was taking notes. I saw Richard was like, even John was writing. You know, what did she say? This, I'm going to get her on this point. Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, look at her words. Those are words that we could live by. For example, did you ever think you would put these 3 words together? Mature spiritual development. Who'd have thought that spiritual development needs to be mature? Of course. And then she says, all this is fried in the pan. Yeah, some of you are half cooked. Whatever your journey is, you might need to have it just frying in the pan. But what else did she say? She talked about when similar people are all doing things at the same time, you have the shift. Yeah, shift happens. Those are my words. Sorry. Yeah, but listen, it's very, very important that she uses words like, you know, creating a safe space. And she talked about something that you wouldn't even think about. How about visualization in the grocery store? Huh? Yeah. All right. Of course. And she always says last but not least, and it was not the last. I was counting them. There were more than 5 words. Oh, sorry, that was Richard. Absolutely. So we also have Greg. You know, if he was here, he would probably. Greg, do you want to say something? We would like you to have your story too. Yes, that's our other practitioner.
I may have to save my words for another occasion. The reason I'm not there in person is I have a very bad cold. But I did let a few folks know yesterday that I wouldn't be attending in person. I guess I'm not coming through. I'm not getting any feedback.
We hear you loud and clear.
One sentence?
Can you hear us, Greg?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. You're on.
Well, what I was saying is I really am not prepared to give a talk at this point. I'm spending more time sneezing and coughing today than speaking. So I'm going to save it for next time.
Great. Okay. All right. So he's going to be our insight speaker. Sometimes we do have that on occasion. And I do want to recognize Greg Hargrove because he helped put together this program. And with Susan's assistance, we actually, and Linda's, and all of you work together. And Elliot. It's what Linda says, when all these people are gathered, you get this momentum and you get this message too. So it's kind of appropriate that she has ended our talk about the effort for all of you. And I'm in so appreciation for what everybody has done today and being the spiritual backbone of CSLP. And so we would like to just finish this beautiful talk with music number 3 that is called Thank You for Being in the World. Talk about being marginalized, being silenced. No, we are grateful for you for being in the world.
Space. Colors were more vivid. The rules of waking consciousness did not apply here. There was a harmonizing of opposites. The one and the many. Past, present, future. Infinite and intimate. In this dream, I was playing music for everyone that I had ever played for, and for everyone that I ever would play for, including you. Sang a song together, and as we sang, looked deeply into each other's beings. The song did not go on too long, and it was always the same, but as unique as each one of us. We are going to sing this song for you now. As you hear it, you can know that you were already in my dream. You sang with me. You already know this song. you are welcome to sing along with Laura and me.
Did you love that?
Yes.
Oh, that was lovely. That was lovely. This is what I call taking advantage of the fact that we do have online meetings sometimes, but we're also here in person. It's called a hybrid, or being here and also able to hear professional music that was prepared quite in advance. And didn't those words move you? Can you imagine if every child who came into this world heard those words? I love you, I bless you, thank you for being in this world. I mean, I know two people who are really hated because they're so insecure. I'm not going to mention too many names. But can you imagine if they actually believed as a child growing up that they actually were thanked for being in this world? Okay? Yeah, I had to add that in there because sometimes there are two people I just don't like. But I love everybody who's here and helping us continue to today's program are things like the giving affirmation and the blessing of the tithes and offering. That's going to be handled by Reverend Linda and practitioner Susan Wilkinson. So who wants to come up here next? Susan. This is intentional giving, how to give. Susan?
Yep. I'm wondering, how can we give? We can just give by being ourselves, but we can also give actual real money, several different ways. I love being here, and I love intentionally giving my tithe. So let's do more of that. So Beth, you can pass over You can pass over the ties, the little baskets. One is, the cute little basket is the prayers, and the other one is the gifts. So we can give from our website. There's a wonderful, very green, but very hard to ignore. And then we can do PayPal. And Zelle is usually what I do because it's so easy. But you could also mail to CSL Peninsula, P.O. Box 3243, Berkeley, California, 94703. Let's have more gifts in the world. You are the gift. But it's also important to give financially, because what we give, we will also receive. Prayer requests? That's good. Thank you. Giving affirmation.
The giving affirmation, you can read along with me. It's on the screen. I bless these gifts with all my love. As I give, I embody prosperity and abundance, knowing I am fully supported by the universe. This is a symbol of my love and gratitude. It does great work in the world and returns to me easily, effortlessly, and often. Okay. And thank you. Did you notice our new basket?
Yes. Thank you, Sheila.
Yeah, so cute. And then you do the next part.
Hello.
Susan Rose is talking. Yes. Hi, Susan.
Hi. I'm trying not to be silent right now.
We hear you.
The reason is I need some help immediately going to a new dentist, and I can't get there. And I'm part of the community, and I always want to give, but haven't been able to for a long time. And I need some more help from the community, because the help that I've been getting is not available right now. And it's a simple thing as a ride. It's a simple thing as a ride. So I'm just putting that out there so the words can be backed by actions. That's all I have to say.
Perhaps that's a prayer request.
Sounds like a prayer request. Put it into our box. Our beautiful new box.
And I need it now because my mouth is falling apart.
Look, I'm not sure you can get an appointment today.
She already have an appointment for the
No.
dentist? So Sue, do you know how to do this
Online, fill out a prayer request. And then you could include everything you just said to us.
Yes, but I've been praying on this for 3 years, and I've had wonderful help from Susan Wilkinson, and the gal community is more than just Susan.
But can you fill that out for us again? Your prayer request?
Sure.
I know you need something right now, but we're still, and we would like to honor that for you, but we need to get it in words.
Oh,
Written words.
All right.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, does she have an appointment today, or is it?
No, she just needs someone to
She
check.
says she already have an appointment, or needs to make an appointment?
Well, we'll work that
She
out.
can't hear me because it.
Yeah, we'll work it out, Susan. Spirit will help you.
Yeah, I have the same question. Does she just need travel to the dentist or
She
money?
doesn't have an appointment.
Do you have an appointment?
I can make an appointment because I don't know when I can get there, and I have the money for it myself. I don't need money. I just need transportation.
Okay. Seems like it's a prayer request. So we'll pray for this. If you like, you can fill out a prayer request and send it to cslpeninsula@gmail.com, or you can wait till you're in person and write down a prayer request. And I will also call you. So I'd like to give an offering blessing for the offering given today and for the prayer requests that have been filled out and will be filled out. Lord of all things, Mother, Father God, divine presence, ye who are in and through and around and inside all there is, seen and unseen, today is a blessing. Yesterday is yesterday. Tomorrow is tomorrow. Today is the present to ourselves. When we make a place for things to come to us, we give to also receive. We bless each prayer that has been written today and will be written. We know that Spirit will answer all prayers. As our practitioners lift these prayers in over the next period of time, we know that comfort, joy, blessing comes to all of us. It is already here. And so it is with deep gratitude and appreciation that I accept these gifts and prayers on behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living Peninsula. And so with this same gratitude, I release my word into the law. I know that it is done in the mind of God. And together we anchor this prayer with, and so it is. And thank you to Sheila for such a cute prayer box. I have to just show it. Yes, it's so cute. Would you like to put a prayer in a nice prayer box? Before you leave, please do that.
Well, before you leave, you're still here. We have announcements and benediction by Susan Wilkinson.
Okay. Are there any announcements?
Well, there's going to be another Toastmaster in-person speech-a-thon tomorrow at the Bethany Church. And it's like what Reverend Linda says, if you don't know how to have a voice, we help you. It is actually a skill that has to be not only given the chance to practice, but also be guided. So Richard and I know how to do that. And so Linda is quickly learning, and therefore it's all practice here. So tomorrow at 6:30 at the Bethany Church. That's my one announcement. What else?
Okay. And when is the next time that we're here? The second Sunday in June. Is that correct?
Yeah, June 8th.
June 8th.
June 8th.
Okay, great.
Now the benediction.
So we're so grateful and so pleased to be here today to bless all the speakers that were so fantastic. the community that was amazing, the understanding that we have received, the torch that we are lighting this moment, knowing that our feet will move from our spirit, that we will rise higher and higher, that we are the ones that we have been waiting for. The world is needing our message, and we can give it to the world as we are getting more and more ready. Our voice is ready. Our speech is here. We have a voice, and we can listen, and we can also speak. It's so wonderful to know that. Knowing this, we release this word into the law. We know that these blessings are here, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Fun. Great. We did it.
So do you have to push off this time?
Yeah, I do. Take this lectern if you want to.